Hey everyone, welcome back to Elemental Cartomancy. I'm coming on today to do a walkthrough of the Psychic Tarot Oracle deck by John Holland. So right away this is a really curious deck because if you look, it says right on the front that this is a 65 card deck and guidebook. And obviously we're used to tarot having 7 to 8 cards, or at least 7 to 8 main cards, and a lot of decks these days will add extras in. But it's rare to find a deck calling itself a tarot deck that doesn't have the full 7 to 8. So I was really curious to see, to get a hold of the deck, to go through it and find out what is it that's actually missing, and to see how the deck works. And I thought we could take a look at that together. So first of all, to let you see the description on the back, it says the 65 beautifully illustrated cards in this deck will create a powerful bridge between your psychic abilities and the ancient knowledge and meanings of the tarot, and will help you to develop intuitive insights about all areas of your life, including love and relationships, business matters, and even career changes. And it goes on a bit to say a bit more. So it does seem to very much consider itself a tarot deck. Um, so let's have a look inside. Now we've got a two-part box that's Hay House. So we've got the kind of a sturdy two-part box that Hay House so often do. We have a pretty decent guidebook, quite chunky, medium to large white book, I would kind of call it. Let's just have a wee look at the contents page just to let us see what we're getting. So we've got getting started. We're told about card spreads, psychic development, color interpretation, numerological meanings and symbols and images, and then it takes us through each and every one of the cards. And we can see that it also gives us some additional resources, stuff about the artists and about the author. So the author is John Holland, and the cards have been illustrated by John Matson. So they have. So just to give credit where it's due. Um, to do a size comparison for you, so quite a bit different from our usual, US games size, a fair bit broader and also a bit taller, as you can see there. These are the backs of the cards, which is really nice. You can see that these ones are really glossy, so I'm going to have to hold them up. Now, before I kind of do a flip through and let you see each of the cards, let me just explain a bit about about the layout. So basically, if I do this, first of all, we can see that each kind of a suit, if you will, is bordered differently. So we have a bit of color coding going on, which is nice. Um, we have we have 22 majors. Okay, so we have 0 up to 21. And although they're named differently, we have new beginnings, awareness, etc. Although the names of the cards are different, this is very much in keeping with our usual 22 major arcana. Okay. Um, we then have, so we're going to look at 4 suits. Okay. So we have the red borders are essentially like the earth suit. Okay, so let's see if I can fit this in. I'm probably a bit too zoomed in. So excuse the lighting for now, but this is just to kind of show you. So yeah, red borders are like the earth suit. We then have the green borders, which is like the water suit. We have this kind of a dark blue border, which is kind of like the swords, the air suit. And we have this purple border, which is our fire suit, spirit suit. Okay. So those are the four suits, and in each suit we have cards 1 through 9. Okay, so we don't have a 10 of whatever the suit is, and we don't have any court cards. So we have a 1 through to 9 of each suit. And then we have 7 chakra cards: base chakra, sacral, solar plexus, etc. So we have 22 majors. We have 4 suits, each which is comprised of a 1 through to 9, so 9 cards. And we have the 7 chakra cards. So let's just take a quick look, quick flip through of the cards and have a look at the images on them. So instead of our full, we start off with new beginnings. Okay, and I mean, obviously it has quite strong full, you know, feels to it, connotations. Let me actually see if I put that there and zoom right in. How are we going to do for light? I suppose if I move myself over, sorry, bear with me whilst I sort out all the text stuff. If we shift this over here, that's a wee bit better. We have new beginnings. We have awareness instead of the magician, but the card does have quite a strong magician feel to it still, I suppose. We have intuition is the second one, so this is where we would normally have the high priestess. We have fertility, authority, wisdom. So you can see what I mean, they're not too far off what we're used to from our normal majors. Harmony, triumph, power. Okay, so very much in keeping with the strength card. Solitude, destiny, balance rather than justice for 11. We have sacrifice. Now, sacrifice, depending on how you read the Hanged Man, that can be very much in keeping with the Hanged Man or the Hanged One. What I would say though is when I'm looking at the card image, there isn't really, it doesn't scream sacrifice to me. Transformation, so we have the butterfly wings there. Patience instead of temperance. Temptation in place of the devil. Disruption, I do quite like this in place of the tower. So we have all these different parts that's making up the person and they're being taken apart. We have hope for the star. We have shadow instead of the moon. Light instead of the sun. Truth as opposed to judgment. And universe instead of the world. So those are our major arcana cards. What I'll probably do next actually is let's look at our chakra cards. So we have the base chakra. So for me, I mean, you can read these based on how you see the different chakras. And if you were to get this deck, obviously we've got the guidebook that tells us, you know, what the intention of John Holland was when he created this. For me, the base chakra is it's kind of a like, how best to put it? It's our groundedness. It's basically where we take our feeling of being grounded, our feeling of safety from. And the world, I suppose, is not really a very good way to explain it. Our sacral chakra. So for me, that's our physical imprint on the world around about us. It's almost like the opposite of the root chakra. The sacral is, our physically what we're doing around about us. It's our creativity, it's sexual energy, sexual experiences, all that kind of a thing. Um, Solar plexus chakra. So to me, this is the seat of the identity and the ego. The heart chakra, connectedness with other people. Throat chakra, so our ability to express ourselves, express our thoughts, express our truth. The third eye chakra, our, I suppose, spiritual sight, our intuition, and crown chakra is kind of a like connectedness to everything, to nature, to spirit. So those are the 7 chakra cards, and let's work our way through the suits. So what I want to do, I want to do this in the order that I would normally do them in. So we're going to go fire, then air, then water, then earth. Okay, so we start off with passion ignited as our kind of a 1 of fire, or our ace of fire. The waiting game for the 2 of fire. So partnerships and alliances for the 3. For the 4, we have foundation and achievements. So this is quite in keeping with what the 4 of Wands would mean to me. For the 5, we have obstacles and challenges. 6, we have victory and success. The 7, stand your ground. Seems about right. For the 8, we have accelerated motion. And for the 9, we have spiritual strength. So we just need to remember that in this deck, the 9 is the completion card rather than the 10. I do very much read my numerology system personally as one where 9 is completion and 10 is kind of a, like the renewal of the cycle. It's kind of a going from the end back to the beginning again. That's how I tend to read the 10s and the standard tarot. So it doesn't bother me too much that we don't have that. So as you can see, we're right into the next suit, which is the air suit. So we have triumphant success for our ace of air, or our 1 of air. We have mental conflict. So, duality of the mind, being in two minds about something, makes sense. We have heartache and loss for the 3. Personally, I look at the 3 of swords or the 3 of air as a card of, intellectual growth, learning, expanding your mind, that kind of a thing. But we're obviously kind of leaning back on the good old Solabusca, Rider-Waite-Smith, 3 of swords. Yeah. Rest and rejuvenate for the 4. For 5, we have conflict and defeat. For the 6, we have moving on. 7 is deception and envy. The 8, we have trapped in fear. And for the 9, we have suffering and silence. Into the water suit, we have love begins for the 1 of water. So we have spiritual union for the 2. For the 3, rejoice and celebration. 4, We have discontent and boredom. For the 5, emotional loss. For the 6, we have memories of love. For the 7, choose wisely, so choices. For the 8, we have emotional withdrawal. And for 9, we have fulfillment of wishes. And Earth, we have prosperity begins for the 1. 2, we have movement, choices, and decisions. For the 3, we have recognition and reward. 4, we have firm foundation. For the 5, financial and material changes. Six, we have material and spiritual prosperity. For 7, patience and planning. For the 8, positive movement forward. And finally, our 9 is material harvest. Okay guys, in terms of how this deck shuffles, it does shuffle quite nicely. I think it's quite a nice size for riffle shuffling. It's riffle shuffled quite nicely for me so far. And get a decent bridge on it as well. And the cards don't bend too badly when you riffle them. In fact, I don't think that's really bowed at all so far. Again, overhand is quite nice as well. It's just a perfect size for me anyway. But I suppose it'd be quite a nice one because it's a bit broader. It'd be nice for the kind of a long ways overhand shuffling as well. In terms of a sample spread, let me just zoom this out so as we can see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a relationship spread. So let's say you've got a client who comes to you and says, I've got this colleague at work, and I'm just wanting to take an in-depth look at the relationship because I feel as though there's something happening there and I'm just not understanding it. So they just want to examine the relationship between them and the other person in a bit more detail. So this is just a pure example at the top of my head. But let's see what the cards throw up. And I'm going to be relatively quick because this is a 6-card spread, so it is. So let's give us some good cards for this sample relationship reading. So the first card that we have is all about the person. It's all about the querent, the person coming to you and asking the question. And we get the 7 card, the Triumph card. Now this is in place of this is what would normally be the Chariot. Um, but really kind of a honing in on that triumphant feel about it. So given that this is a working situation, I would maybe be asking my querent, is there could it be the case that you're perhaps rubbing your successes in this person's face? Are they maybe being a bit put out by you, by your success? Not that anyone should have to kind of a dull their own flame just for the sake of someone else, but sometimes there's just a different way that we can celebrate our successes, if you know what I mean. Sometimes we can, some people are quite bad winners. Um, and they can kind of get their jollies out of rubbing it in other people's faces. So I'd be asking, in a tactful way, of course, is there maybe a way that that could be suggesting that about you? So if you're not if you're not sure about the relationship and you feel there's maybe something up, could it be that they're just a wee bit put out by your success? Let's have a look at it. So the next card is for the other person. And we have financial and material changes. So not just is it difficult for them to perhaps see or querent being successful and being triumphant in their endeavours, but maybe they've got some shit going on in the background themselves. Maybe they are in a bit of a not so well off place financially. They're under some pressures, some stress. and they're struggling to make ends meet. Okay, so maybe that's where they are right now, and that might be what's taking up the most of their kind of a mental power. And it's maybe not so much that they don't like or querying, it's just that they don't really have much energy to spend on the relationship between the two. The third card we pull, it tells us about the relationship. So it says, how do you view the relationship in its current state? And we have spiritual strength. Okay, spiritual strength. So this is the nine of, what is it the nine of? I forget what the purple is. This is essentially our nine of fire. So this is what would normally be the nine of wands. But remember that this is the final card in the sequence. So this is kind of like the culmination of that fire power. It's the culmination of that wands power. Now, that first of all, spiritual strength. It's the the realization of the power of fire. Of that kind of a purpose, of that passion. So that's got to be a good thing. But remember, sometimes when we're holding the flames for that long, it it, it can it can become a difficult place to be. And if you think about our normal nine of wands, we see the person who's battle scarred, who's bandaged up and all that kind of thing. And you get the idea that they're kind of a sick of where they are, and maybe that's where the relationship between these two people is. It's maybe taken some bumps and some bruises in the past, albeit the very foundation of it does seem to be one of strength, and it's definitely something that can be built on and that can be kind of a sorted out. It's maybe just about maybe giving this person the space to maybe sort out their own personal issues. So that was one, two, and three. The fourth card is about expectations. So, what do you want and expect from the relationship? What is most important to you? So, a firm foundation, and this is essentially our four of earth. So, this would suggest that what our querent wants is just to to know where they stand, and they want the relationship to be a solid one, because obviously in the example we use, this is a working relationship. It's important that our relationships and work are professional and that have a firm foundation, um, so that it doesn't kind of there aren't any distractions from our work and our career and stuff like that. So it's probably quite important to our querents' own success, to their triumph, to their career, that this relationship kind of goes well. For fives, we have strengths, and the last card is about weaknesses. Strengths is positive movement forward. So there's definitely there's some promise in this, and that there's hope for the relationship. Okay, there is the potential to move the relationship forward, to have that positive movement forward. Um, it's just a case of it needs time, you know. And weaknesses is the base chakra. Okay, so the weakness seems to be the effect that our querent is letting the relationship have on them and have on their own career and their own work. Okay, they seem to kind of draw a lot of security and safety from this relationship. So this is obviously quite an important relationship to them. And I suppose what we're saying here is that they just need to give it time and let the relationship heal. Let this person sort out their own stuff. We're basically telling our queen, like, you don't have control over this entire situation. It's not the best thing in the world to hear, but that's calling a spade a spade. That's what it is. There is the potential there for it to move forward, but it needs to be given time, and you're not necessarily going to have control over that. So the only weaknesses, I suppose, that our querent has is what they put into it, is how reliant they are on the relationship. So maybe it's time for our querent to kind of a branch out and become a bit more independent of this person. Not that they've to abandon them or anything like that, but maybe just not be as reliant on that person, give that person the space that they need to sort out their stuff. Um, so yeah, that's just a wee sample spread to let you see how this reads, and of course we have that other card underneath there. I've had to cram them all in to get them onto the table. But I hope that was helpful. I hope that you've enjoyed seeing it in action. Let me know what you think, because I know that it's a bit different, and I know a lot of people will be thinking, "Oh gosh, no, that's too different for me." They've taken cards out, they've added stuff in. I'm all for it. I'm, don't get me wrong, I love my standard tarot, but I'm all for giving this a good go. So you probably see me using this at some point in the near future on our Thursday reading lives. Um, so yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Take care, and I shall speak to you all soon. Bye.